I'm looking at the time. It's like 52 minutes. I'm like, what the f-? Like, we just like scratched the surface. And I think that's exactly why we're the perfect duo, Krishna. Like, what the f-? 52 minutes in, and like, this was solid. Like, it was just fun. We just kicked it.
I can keep going. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can keep going. It's one of those things.
It's currently the 24th of August, 2020. Today, I have my friend Krishn on today. We're going to be trying something different. Usually, I've been doing all these podcasts on my phone, on my own. And you guys get a lot of like short form content. You guys don't really see me talking for like 60 minutes straight. So, you know, I was like, I think this idea came when I was going on a trip down to Kayama. It's like this it was like roughly an hour trip down south. And I went with Krishn and Kevin. And me and Krishn were just talking for hours and hours. Like, one, I just needed to stay awake because I was exhausted on the way back. I didn't get much sleep. I need to keep talking to like stay awake. And for some reason, me and Krishn just didn't run out of topics to talk about. Like, usually with a lot of friends, we catch up for lunch, we talk for 40 minutes straight, non-stop. And then the conversation fades out and we're caught up, and then it's a good time to split. But for some reason, Krishn, every single time we talk, we just have non-stop back and forth conversation. And that's how I was like, why don't I was like, yo, we should do a podcast together. And he was like super down. And that's I guess that's where we arrived today. I guess introduce yourself to everyone, Krishn.
Well, thank you for having me, Andy. My name's Krishn. Thank you so much. I think you hit the nail on the head with that one. It's kind of one of those things where we didn't even realize that we were on like a 2.5 hour drive, and then we kind of just kept going back and forth and sharing ideas and then talking about different things. And then we were home, and then we're like, you know what, let's do it. I think it's a good idea. I definitely think it's a good idea. There's a lot of topics that we can cover, talk about, and especially operating in different fields that we are, you being, you know, operating as an entrepreneur, having your own business, me going through the rat race and trying to make my way out, etc. I think it'll be good. I'm super pumped. I am super pumped.
Dude, I didn't realize that. I think that's a really good like mix. Usually most podcasts is just two people that are pretty similar, but we've got cool, contrasting, but at the same time similar personalities, but like going down different routes. And I think this is a very interesting mix, and it makes it really relatable. And I think we can get both audiences, like just the normal people that can relate totally to you, Krishn, and the entrepreneurs that can totally relate to me, and they can also the people in the middle ground. So I think I didn't realize that, but it's like this is like a perfect duo.
Dude, I literally thought about that. Like when we left on Sunday, when you came back to yours and then I was going back home, I was just thinking about it. I'm like, dude, it's actually crazy because like we're really good friends and we do share a lot in common as well. But aside from that, because we're like doing our own things and, going about our day-to-day lives differently, it just makes it more interesting because like, I don't know the specifics about what you do. And then obviously I'm just, trying to get my way out, etc. I do my own thing, but yeah, it makes it really interesting. I'm super keen.
Dude, I'm excited for like what we like bring to the table each week, and it's just like two opposite things, but it's just like relatable to everyone. Like we can relate to all people, whether it's the people that are doing 9 to 5, because you'll be bringing your story to the table. If it's like people trying to figure out entrepreneurship, I'll bring my story to the table, and it's like a perfect match. But I guess like, what's your definition of trying to get out of the rat race? What do you mean by that, Krishn?
Yeah, so I think that's kind of what everyone wants to try to achieve. Like, straight out of high school, most people, the conventional route they take is, go to uni or get a job, and immediately you just start working in your job. You just keep earning money, you get taxed, you have your weekend off, and then you go back to work on Monday, the 9 to 5, the rise and grind, and it's taxing. So I think when I think of making it out of the rat race, obviously we both have different things because I know that you're in a different world, right? But when I think about making it out of the rat race, I think of financial independence. I think of perhaps, trying to get another source of income, whether it's another income stream or just trying to, push myself to try and make something, the most out of nothing, essentially. It's really, it is one of those things where it's conditional for everyone and it's different for everyone, but I think everyone's in their own sort of rat race. Everyone's kind of trying to do their own thing, operate in their own space, how you will say it. And then, but yeah, like I think that's what it is for me, like trying to get some financial independence, become independent myself, start becoming automated as well, but not too automated. That's what it is for me. But I'm interested to hear what it is for you, because obviously I wouldn't classify you as being in your own rat race. I'd say that you're operating in your own space, obviously. So like, what would it be to you? Like, what would you, like, say in the next 5 years, like, what would you try and say, get out of or get into?
And I think you're totally right. Like I definitely have my own rat race, and entrepreneurship has its own rat race. But before I want to dig into that, there was this like realization that happened recently, like literally 2 days ago on Saturday night. I was hanging with one of my friends from high school, and he's doing engineering, and he's he's been getting good marks. He doesn't like put too much pressure on university or himself. He just like casually studies. He doesn't procrastinate. Well, he procrastinates here and there. He's just a normal person, watches anime. He does pretty well, but he doesn't like get stressed by uni. I think he sort of like enjoys it, but like not really. It's uni. You can't really enjoy uni, but it's like normal to him. And then he's very keen to get a job. He goes for internships, etc. And we're just like parked on the side of the road because we needed to get directions or something. And then on the other side of the road was like this nice newly built house in like the western suburbs. It was just like a nice newly built 2-story house. It was like a duplex where it shared the same wall, but it looked like a nice modern house that was recently built in the past 2 years. And then he was like, we were just silent, and he was like, man, that's the dream. And then in my mind, I was like, what? Like, I was confused for a bit. To normal, like to the everyday person, a nice newly built 2-story house is like the dream. And I was like, oh, that's pretty interesting. And like he's happy doing what he's doing. So like I'm not gonna tell him to do otherwise, because it's all about what makes you happy. If you love 9 to 5, it doesn't matter. You're still winning in the end. Like Krishn was like, what? Like the dream is to like that house? Like what? But then like it makes sense. Everyone, to be able to have your own house, have your own family in like a nice 2-story house that's brand new, so it makes sense.
I think at the end of the day, it does come down to perspective as well, because obviously you're very talented in what you do and very fortunate that you are able to do what you do. Whereas some other people, when we come out of high school and come out of uni, it's not really an option or a thought for us in that sense, because we've just been not conditioned, but we've just been taught like that's the right way to do it. It may be from either the parents, family, friends, etc., or like even what high school or university open days tell us, like that's what we seem to be the right thing to do. And when you do go down that path, I think those are the conventional sort of things that you look forward to. Your 2-story house, your nice car, the family, the kids, etc. But I know that you got much bigger goals, and I'm very keen to see that come to fruition.
Yeah, thank you. Like I think you're right. Like there is like no other part. Like you just don't know what you don't know. I think that's the thing. You don't know what you don't know. But like this person I knew, like he was my friend. He's like very happy doing what he's doing, and like he's winning. Like I've seen many other graduates or people in the last year of uni where they're really like they hate uni, and I know they're gonna hate the workforce, but like he was like very content with like what the future had to offer for him. And then like since he was so content, like in my mind I was like, damn, like you have so much potential to do your own thing if you wanted to, but like obviously this is the path you want to go down, and you're happy, and if you're happy, I'm happy.
That's the thing. Like happiness is the main thing, but I think what you just said right there is your entrepreneurial mindset. It's your business-like mindset that you've developed, and you've had it ingrained in you since you were in high school. I remember you telling me the story where you try and flip clothes or flip anything you possibly could. I think you having that mentality or mindset ingrained in you from then, it's taught like what you said just then, like, oh, you can do so much more. Like, you always think of new ways to innovate, new ways to do things. And I think. Yeah.
And then like back to the topic of like my own rat race, like entrepreneurship is like, the crazy thing is like, there's like tiers of entrepreneurs, and like entrepreneurs don't even know this. So like when you're like this kid and you're making like say 6 figures, you think you're the man. You make more than your parents, you make more than everyone around you, you're not a sucker, you're not working for anyone else, but then you start buying a nice car. you start buying Gucci, you start buying Yeezys, and then you become the sucker, because what you end up doing is now you're working for this company. Now you're working for Mercedes. Now you're working for Gucci, and every day you're earning money to pay them and get all this, get Gucci'd out. And like then I realized like that's what everyone goes through, because we have our own facade. You know how like you guys, or like 9 to 5 people are taught 9 to 5, get a job, get a 2-story house, get a family, get a nice car, and that's sort of the dream. Well, the dream we sold is like become successful, make money online, buy a Ferrari, buy a supercar, buy Gucci, get a nice watch, and that's the dream we're sold. But like, why do we have to do those things? Like literally those things people just do because that's what everyone else does. So like entrepreneurs just are in their own rat race where they just end up chasing that next thing, because like, after you get the Benz, then there's the Porsche, and then there's the Ferrari, and then there's the like a Bugatti. You just keep going up this ladder, and you find yourself in your own rat race, and you don't even know it, and it's scary.
Right, that's a different way to think about it. I think at the end of the day, it does come like when you get put in that position and you find yourself always chasing that next sort of dream car or like dream title or dream purchase, you find yourself always taking one step back rather than two. Like you'll take 2 steps forward, 1 step back. You know what I mean? Like you progress, but it's very slow. And I feel like when you go and immediately put all your energy into working really hard and then just buying it all, like buying all these things, I think we talked about it comes down to the mindset that you have. But at the end of the day, I think it does come down to like they are sold this dream from the things that they view online, from you say your celebrities, your influencers, the way that they perceive success is from being sold a fake, no, I wouldn't say fake, but maybe an extremely difficult to achieve success. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where lifestyle is one thing, but having that mindset to be able to pursue in a good direction it's another.
Dude, it's like never ending. Like there's always more. Like like if you're on that rat race, it's like so unhealthy. And on the topic of like 2 step back, 1 step back, 2 step forward, like that's what everyone thinks. Like when you buy a nice watch, you're taking 1 step back, but it's going to make you hungry. You're going to gain more opportunities with it. You're going to be able to go 2 steps forward. But like, what if you just went 3 steps forward every single day and never took a step back? And that's like what like the Mark Zuckerbergs, the Jeff Bezos, the Bill Gates of the world are doing. They're literally not buying any liabilities. They don't care about all these things that they know are worthless, because when you buy like a $500 Gucci shirt, it's literally worth like $10 in like goods. You're being played.
I think what you said is perfect. Like you're paying them. You're paying Louis. You're paying Gucci. You're paying them all. Like for what?
They're your new boss.
Yeah,
and that's what entrepreneurs don't know.
But I think it's very important to be able to, like, at the same time, like, it's important to, like, slow down sometimes, because when you're always operating at 3 steps forward at 100% capacity, etc., it's easy to get caught up, and then you can beat yourself up really easily, and it can have a mental impact on you. So it's important to also take a step back, treat yourself, but understand what you're doing so you don't get caught up in it's all a game. It's back and forth. Yeah,
dude, it's a massive freaking game. Life is a game. And like on that topic of back and forth and being confused, like this is a similar topic, but it also branches into a whole new topic. So recently I listened to a podcast with this kid, and he was this dropshipper. He did dropshipping. He made like hundreds of thousands. He moved to Los Angeles, was invited to this sort of Hollywood party, and the party was like literally it was this girl. She was like an A-lister. She was like Justin Bieber level fame. He didn't reveal whose party it was, but he came there. He was just a normal kid. He just had a normal hoodie, normal clothing, normal shoes, and no one recognized him. No one said a word to him. He was invisible within the crowd. And after leaving that party, he got iced out, got the nice rollie, got the Gucci shoes, Gucci'd out, Gucci hat. And the next weekend, he went to the same party. I don't know, the girl threw the same party twice or something. I don't know how it works in LA. They have parties all the time. But he went to the same sort of event. And this time, everyone's like walking up to me like, hey man, what do you do? Hey man, what you up to? Hey man, you know, what do you do around here? And then people just started talking to him. And he said, yes, this is pretty superficial, and it's like LA culture, and it's like pretty like retarded. But I've had literally, you know, 7-figure deals and opportunities come because of the clothing I wear and how it's had people reach out to me, and then we've been able to create conversations and we've been able to create partnerships. So now, like on the topic of being pulled into many directions, you know, I'm pretty solid on just like doing my thing, not buying liabilities, not being like fooled, and not like, you know, becoming a slave to Gucci and Louis Vuitton. But I'm hearing stories like this. Maybe I want to go ahead and get a nice watch.
Is this the right thing to do? What is going on? What's the right
Exactly.
thing to do?
Exactly.
And it fries your brain. And then I think the more that you listen to these stories, I mean, what you just told me sounds like one of those childhood stories we'd hear. Like for example, you know, the Tortoise and the Hare. It's like the slow and steady wins a race, etc. Like it's one of those sort of stories where you hear that and you're like, it's like a meaning behind it, but like there's none, because you listen to that and then you're on a good direction yourself, and you finally sit yourself down and you finally got everything out of your head, cleared it out, made a plan. You're like, I'm going to hit this. These are my targets. This is what I want to hit. I'm going to go at 100%. You do it, and then it's
Dude, I can imagine like it's a game, and then, you know, every few times you get an option to pick the hare or the tortoise. I pick the tortoise because I know I'm going to win, and then I sit on it, and then all my friends around me, they're just like on the hare and they're just running past me. I'm like, should I could jump on the hare that's like right next to me and switch votes, and like people just end up switching their whole life.
That's the thing, yeah, because if you keep switching, then you're on the new car or the new hair, etc. And then you see another new hair, like another new car around you go faster, and you're kind of always thinking, I need to keep up, I need to do this, and you don't. Like, who are you keeping up for? Like, yeah, that story had some good sort of message behind it. I feel like in LA though, that is sort of the culture there. Like, you need to stand out from the crowd if you want to try and, you know, get those deals, etc. But yeah, it is very easy to get caught up in your mind, to get caught up in the game, to get caught up with people around you. I mean, even just in what I do, like, not I do, but like in my sort of conventional sort of rat race, what I was talking about earlier, like, it's so easy to get caught up in seeing people be successful with, say, a job that they recently got, or like a car that they recently got. It's so easy to like say, like, oh, shit, am I doing the right thing? What am I doing wrong? What should I be doing what they're doing? And like, the most important thing to know is everyone's on their own sort of one train track to their own future. Like, you're on your own track. You don't look at what anyone else is doing. Well, obviously you can, because it is good at the end of the day. It's very important to get insights from other people, but stay in your own lane, I guess, head down and just focus on what you're doing, because the minute that you get distracted, it's like we've both been caught up in that. We've both been in situations.
It's like crazy. So the form I came up with is like, right now, like I remember like a month ago when I just stopped consuming YouTube, like I quit YouTube for like a solid like 2 to 3 weeks. I was so productive, so clear, so focused. And then like for some reason the past like 2 months, I'm just watching YouTube videos every day while I'm eating breakfast, while I'm eating lunch. And like I'm just like in this blur, because you're just consuming so much content. So what my plan is, like, now I'm going to try to really do like a cold turkey quit on just consuming content. And what I do is, when my idea, because I have a Trello board that has all my ideas, when all the idea list is empty, that's when I should be consuming content, and I'm in a mode of like gaining new ideas. And then when my idea list is full, like now, I need to stop consuming content, because this ideas list is just going to keep filling up, and it's not going to be, I'm not going to act on it. So right now I have to go through a period of like stopping consumption. And like another thing is, because right now when I consume content, when your idea list is full and you don't want to add more things to it, when you listen to things, you can't really squeeze a lemon, and you really take every piece of content you listen to for granted. So for example, when my idea list was like empty and I just ran out of ideas, I would listen to like a random YouTube video that was just like for recreational, but I'll be able to make like come up with tons of amazing ideas because I'm just like in the idea of like I'm open to new ideas, and as a result I'm able to just fill up the idea list so fast with a few videos. Whereas like now I'm just wasting videos because there's just so much content out there.
But that's very interesting. I actually never thought about it like that. So when you say you have a Trello board full of ideas, right? So these are ideas that you're obviously looking to implement or like looking to work around with and seeking to use essentially, right? Wow. Okay. So when you consume your content, you're saying that you consume the content. Are you like consuming just recreational videos? Is it like a random vlog that you watch, or is it like educational content? What sort of content are you talking about?
Some vlogs on like entrepreneurship that entrepreneurs I really look up to. Educational content like Graham Stephan, like finance stuff. Random Tony Robbins content. Warren Buffett biography or something. Random YouTube videos. And right now, when I consume it in my current state, I don't get any ideas for some reason. And it's because I'm not looking for ideas because my idea list is already full.
Okay.
And yes, I can, watch it now for fun, and then when I run out of ideas, watch it again. But it's not really efficient to watch the same video twice. So I might as well just like add everything to like watch later and just focus on knocking out all my ideas. And when I'm ready to like, one, it helps me focus. Two, I would be pulled in so many directions. Like, dude, after I heard that story that I just told you, the guy asked us like, yo, like, how do you write off watches? And the guy was like, well, technically, all the watches I buy, they're on an online store. So I'm selling all these watches. So they're all inventory. So therefore, every single watch he buys is a 100% write-off because they're all inventory. They're all cost of goods because he's selling them. And he buys watches that appreciate and don't sort of get devalued. And I was like, that's amazing. Maybe I should just like buy watches so I can flex, but at the same time, be a write-off. But like, you don't earn any money. You write it off and then you can sell it later on. You might make $1 or $2 and it might like appreciate like 1 or 2% per annum. But like, it's not really worth the time and the stress to buy a watch and then make sure it's real and then find a watch that like it's not worth the time. But like, since I'm consuming this content, I'm just like coming up with all these distractions and when I don't consume content, then like there's no distractions to distract me.
I think especially in that watch scenario that you gave, given that obviously the person that was obviously doing that with the watches in terms of flipping them and making more money of them, that's something that he's obviously put a lot of time and effort and energy into, researched a lot about, and he's become very familiar with it. It's become like second practice to him. He's very used to it now. And then for a new listener like yourself, like you said, like, you listen to it, you can, oh crap, this sounds good. This is a good idea. This is a good opportunity. And then it drains you a lot because then you find different ways of thinking about, okay, how can I go about doing this and that? And then you get slowly further distracted away from your goals and then the ideas that you have. And then that's when you start to become less efficient, and then you become more consumed in what other people are doing, and then you find yourself chasing your own tail because like, oh crap, should I be doing this, and then you're back to square one. And then I think what you said is really important actually. Because when you have your list and when you're going through your list and ticking off one by one, you feel a lot more accomplished about yourself. Two, you feel you allow yourself to feel more open to be introduced to new ideas, and you give yourself that time and space. And then when you do that, and then when you do consume the new content, then you can go about listen to those ideas again. And I think that's definitely the way to go. I never thought about it like that, but you're going to become a lot more efficient that way as well, and you'll find that.
A good metaphor for that is, how on LinkedIn you could put your profile to open to new opportunities. So
yes.
The ironic thing is, when people have a job and the looking for opportunities is off, for some reason they sort of look for new opportunities. You're scouring around LinkedIn, you're looking for opportunities, but no opportunities are really coming your way because the looking for opportunity is off. Whereas when it's on, when you just look around a bit, just opportunities come your way. So what I'm saying is, when I have a bunch of ideas on the board, I won't be able to come up with ideas or pull ideas from videos, and it's just being wasted. The energy I spend watching content is being wasted because I can't really squeeze it because I'm not looking for new ideas. My idea list is full. But when it's empty, I can probably spend 1/3 of the time watching 1/3 amount of videos and get more ideas than I would get in this current state.
Yeah, and I think that's a good metaphor to have. I think, yeah, it's one of those things, you just ride with it, and then I think, especially now in COVID, I think now is the best time to be looking for new ideas and looking for new ways to pivot yourself. I think no matter what you do, whether you're an entrepreneur or someone who's just trying to find another source of income or just going about your own day-to-day life, it's very important right now to be able to pivot successfully and be able to, get new ideas from different things and be able to do your own thing. And, it's I think if anything, the current climate has taught us is it's just increasingly unpredictable. You've seen companies come out of literally nothing this whole pandemic, etc. And it's one thing where you can get ideas from different things, but also be wary of the trends that are coming up, etc. And being able to put yourself in a position where you're not closing yourself up to them, but allowing yourself to view what's coming up, etc. But yeah, definitely good insights.
Dude, on that topic, during this pandemic, I've heard stories of people come back from China, and there was this guy that made those plastic masks where it would have a plastic shield.
The face shield, yeah.
Face shield. And he literally made millions in a period of 2 to 3 months. Just off the pandemic. And he would have never.
Did he come back from China just before lockdown, etc.?
Yeah. And I think he either had a garage and just 3D printed everything himself, or he got a supply in China and brought it home. But he just made millions of this in a short amount of time. And I think they call these black swan events. Some people make tons of money during these black swan events that are just unpredictable and random.
And then the other flip side is some people lose a lot of money in these events. It's so easy. But yeah, like you said, I know someone who had a lot of money. Well, he didn't have a lot of money initially, but he, at the start of the pandemic, when we weren't in lockdown, but it was kind of growing and growing. And then I think this is early Feb, he put a lot of money into, I think, a hand sanitization company, a company that essentially mass produces hand sanitizer or just the product in it, and he put 10K in it, and then needless to say, it absolutely skyrocketed. The share price of that flew. I think the value of his portfolio blew off the roof. It's crazy to think, isn't it? Like I said earlier, it's very important to be aware of what's going on around us, and being able to have that open mind where you can see the trends pop up and you can try to take advantage of it, or to better yourself, to grow yourself. But it's crazy to think, isn't it? Everything that we thought was conventional about the way that the economy that we operate in, the business that we operate in, it's gone. It's finished. Everything is flip sided. It's mental. It's mental.
Dude, what I'm always I think I sort of know the answer, but it's hard to stick on the tortoise, is trend catchers. For example, people who, when trends happen, things happen, they jump on the trend and they capitalize on it, and they make tons of money, and they wait for the next trend. For example, people jumping on stocks. For example, the guy I was talking about on the podcast, he trades stocks. He bought watches. He did e-commerce. He worked with influencers. He had clothing brands. He had all these different things, and it was just capitalizing on so many trends. And he's been able to do pretty well off doing so. And everyone's talking about stocks, and everyone's talking about jumping on things early, buying stocks. Should I do all these things? Then when I really take a look at what the people at the top are doing, Jeff Bezos isn't capitalizing on COVID. Elon Musk did nothing during COVID. He didn't buy a ton of shares, because you have limited bandwidth. And if you just focus on one thing, Jeff Bezos, you just focus on books for the longest time. He just focused on just selling books, and like only recently has he popped off in the past 5 years, and everyone knows who he is. But like before then, it was like an exponential curve. That long period was just him focused on Amazon and selling books, and people can sort of like, the normal trend is like up, down, up, down, up, down, and you can do that by following trends, and you become like Warren Buffett, you become like all those like rich Robert Kiyosaki, all these like billionaires by the age of like 80. But like, if you really want to kill at a young age, you have to go the slow route and just watch everyone accelerate you, but then know that when you're 40, you're just like out thing. So even though I know this, it's so hard though to stick to. Like,
it's crazy. Like, yeah, like we've come full circle. Like we literally started off by talking about the Tortoise and the Hare story, and then now we're literally back on it. Like it's crazy to think, like, yeah, it is important to be able to watch trends, because in any business that you operate in, you'd be extremely negligent to not understand what's going on around you, right? But like you said, being able to focus on your product and giving 110% into what you're doing, when you play that slow game, like you said, like five to 10 years ago, if you told anyone Jeff Bezos is going to be the richest, like a trillionaire by, I think it was like 2030 or something, like, everyone would be like, shut up, bro, like, just shut up. Like that trend, that amazing rise that he's been on, it's ridiculous, isn't it? Like no one would have picked it, no one.
Yeah, and Elon Musk is the 4th richest person now. It's crazy. Like literally a month ago, he was like at the bottom of the list. Like he wasn't even a billionaire like until recently, and now he's like 100, like not 100, like 50, 40. Like he's like, that's, I don't know how many figures. Is that 10 figures, 10 billionaire? And he's just like on that curve. And the crazy thing is, like, he didn't, like, that curve, like it's hitting like him right now. It's like at the beginning of the curve. He hasn't even hit exponential yet. He has not hit exponential.
He is gonna fly if he stops being an absolute idiot sometimes. He will fly. But I think that's the beauty of Elon Musk, isn't it? Like that guy just does. We were talking about it, I think, the other day. That guy just does, like, he's very smart. I think for a lot of people, when they think about Elon Musk, you don't initially think about the social appearances, the appearances he made, on the Joe Rogan podcast, and then him tweeting out, "Oh, I want my stock price. No, the Tesla stock price is too high, in my opinion." But like, I think he knows exactly what he's doing. You don't get to where you don't become an Elon Musk without understanding exactly what you're doing and how what you do or say can manipulate your business or your image, etc. Like, he's so smart. Like, yeah, you're right. I think he's only going to go higher and higher as well. He's destined for a 4th richest person in the world. 4th or 5th?
4th now, I think. He was 5th before, and he just jumped. But like right now I'm reading an Elon Musk book, and like when he was young, he would like not talk. He would just like stare. Like he would just randomly just like stare, and maybe he would just like blank off and like go into his own world and just stare. He's definitely on like some autism spectrum, but like he's a genius autism, like for sure. Like he has those like qualities. It's like, yeah, he's special.
I think that, like, yeah, you see a lot of the billionaires, etc. that obviously are autistic, etc. But yeah, he's definitely special. Like, even just in the way that he conducts himself and talks about, like, he's definitely so smart that like he'll put a lot of effort into everything that he does. And it'll look like the boring company flamethrower. Like, just why? Like, genuinely, just why? Like, why? Just why? I don't get it. But like, man's a genius, man. And then he's like talking about wanting to try and implement a chip into your brain, which subconsciously streams music into your brain. I think that's barbaric. Not barbaric, but I think that's ridiculous. But it's mental.
Dude, it's crazy. Apparently, that chip can like fix people who's plagiarized. Because apparently people who are plagiarized, like there's like signals aren't being sent down there. So the chip can send electromagnetic signals to get people to be able to move it. So it's like a huge game changer. But like obviously it's like some like AI, like new world, like take over your brain type of like scenario. But like, yeah, it's gonna like it, yeah.
It's one of those like sci-fi movies which show a dystopian society, etc. Where it's like, AI implemented into your brain is gonna obviously, like, there's obviously going to be that inherent risk that with these advancements in technology, with the rise of AI, I mean, I don't know if you remember Google once at a press conference, and they were showing off how far their Google AI, the Google Assistant, has come. So what they're able to do is get Google Assistant to call a hair salon for a client, book an appointment for the hair salon without the client having to do anything. So the client would have been just like, I don't want to say it because I'm on Google Home now and it's going to trigger it. It's going to go off. And he was like, hey, Google, book me an appointment at the local hair salon. And then it did it. And it's kind of crazy to think if they're already at that stage with their Google Assistant AI, the sky is literally the limit. Like there is no telling as to what they could be capable of in the next couple of years or even in the next 5 to 10 years. Like the way that we think about conventional searches on the internet, we're not going to be doing it the way that we are now in 5 to 10 years. That's my opinion. I think even now, the way that we go about Google searches is completely different from 5 to 10 years ago. I mean, you have Amazon Alexa at home. I have my Google Assistant here. It controls my lights, and then like Microsoft Internet Explorer, just gone, finished.
Yeah.
21 years or something of operations finished. Like everything is changing so fast. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's exciting but ridiculous.
Dude, like the crazy thing, like the CEOs or the founders of Google, they're so dedicated to search. He wants to make search better. He wants Google to be able to predict what people are about to search. He wants Google to provide better, results. Like he's all about just optimizing search and giving people the best search options possible. So like it's crazy how like people can be dedicated so much to this little thing such as just search and become billionaires off just one thing, and it's just all focus, full circle again. But yeah, like search is like voice is like the next thing, because like right now we went from reading books and going through books to like find out information and research to searching things for our answers. The next thing is going to be voice. We'll be just asking. You'll be literally just using voice for everything. No one's going to type anymore. Typing is going to be like the olden days, and it's just so convenient to use voice, and eventually it's going to be just thinking.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
Just thoughts. It's going to be you just thinking it, your subconscious relaying it somehow to Google. We're either going to have a Google chip up there in our noggin. Yeah. I don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be crazy. Like you said, it's already ridiculous. But I think the amount of time, money, effort, energy they put into search, I think it kind of makes sense. Like search is one of those things where everyone is always using. It's one of those things where everyone, like we live in such a day and age where it's so easy to gain access to media, news, etc. And search is just one of those things where I don't think like it makes our lives easier. There's algorithms in place, whether it's in YouTube, Google News, etc. They're able to tailor, your preferences to you. And I think, like you said, that's eventually going to continue to evolve with search, and as we continue to evolve, it'll be online. Like I think recently you would have seen when everyone would have logged into Google, not even logged in, just gone to Google, they would have seen how there's currently something going on with the ACCC versus Google, where the ACCC are trying to lock down on the search laws and the data that Google get, because obviously Google get a lot of data. Like they mine through their data, right? So I don't know what's going on exactly. I think maybe you might, but it's kind of something where Google are saying that the government is trying to restrict how much information that we give them, etc., which makes our searches less reliable and less accurate. I don't know. Do you have any insight?
Is ACCC, is it an Australian media thing? Is this Australia related?
Yeah, it's Australian related.
I saw like a YouTube video of like how the Australian government or the media sort of like somehow was able to convince the government to like lobby with them when it comes to like asking Google to give them data. So right now when Channel 7 and all these networks are posting things on Google, they don't get many views. So they want to be the monopoly and have all Australians log onto Google, go into YouTube and see Channel 7 at the top, because they want that power. Because right now every random person can just post stuff on YouTube and can rank higher than Channel 7.
Channel
So the
7 or the
scary thing
news,
is, yeah. So the scary thing is Australia's going to really like throttle it in a way where Australian will have like a different interface, and all these news network would get a bunch of data from Google, and people who view their content, like one, they want to be able to get data so they could serve their viewers better news. So that's, why they need the data. And at the same time, they're not happy with the amount of money they're being paid through Google, through online, because right now no one's watching TVs and their pay is just getting less and less. So they want Google to pay them more and then like throttle every other Australian YouTube channel like me maybe, and throttle us because we don't deserve to, because we're not, it's like crazy. Like Australia is like scary, like middle class, like type of scary country like that.
I was actually about to say, firstly, how long has it taken mainstream media to eventually realize, oh shit, views are dropping on TV. No one's watching TV as much anymore. It's all online. It's all Facebook. Facebook views are literally, they won't stop. Facebook, although not many people may be using Facebook as opposed to other alternative forms of media, TikTok, etc., Snapchat, etc., but they're still Facebook, Google, YouTube, etc. They finally realized, I wonder what would have clicked in their brain at like in 2020, views are down, let's go on Google. It's so stupid because it's taken them that long to finally realize. But I think anyway, second point I was going to make was that, like you being a content creator on YouTube yourself, you obviously, you create content. There's a lot of other Australian YouTubers that create content. It impacts them a lot because the algorithm that YouTube use is done in such a way where, you don't, I guarantee not many of us go scroll through our subscription page on YouTube anymore. It's all, I just go on my homepage because my homepage is tailored to essentially what I recently viewed, what I like. So it's one of those things where it's going to completely change the algorithm. It's going to change the way monetization, I think it's going to change the way monetization works on YouTube as well. And I think it's going to change the way, like you said, change the way the viewing works, because if more people are inclined to view, say, 7 News or news-related media on YouTube, it's going to continually, with the algorithm that they currently have in place, it's going to continually link them to similar forms of media and similar sorts of videos, and it's kind of going to keep swaying that way, I think. And that's just what it sounds like from what the ACCC or whatever's going on with Australia v Google, essentially. I think that's the kind of direction I can see potentially going. But
do you think ACCC would win and Google would give them all these advantages just because?
It's crazy to think, isn't it? Because the power that Google hold in today's society, it's ridiculous. Like, it's definitely never going to happen, but in the absolute 0.001% chance, Google pull the plug on Australia and like, nah, we're out. Our search services are not going to be used in Australia. Like, they have so much power. They can literally just flick the ACCC away, essentially, right? So I don't think, if it is a legislation, I think it's going to change a lot, but I think it'll eventually simmer down to ACCC and Google cooperating with each other, and Google trying to, find an alternative. But it's crazy, isn't it? What do you reckon?
Dude, like, I feel like the video I watched, it seemed like pretty biased. Like, I feel like we can't tell Google to do that. And like, I think Google as like a company being so consumer centric is never going to accept that. Like, it just doesn't make sense to them. And I think the reason why
it's the government, it's the government, you know what I mean? Like, they can't do that to the privacy of their consumers.
Exactly. And like, how can maybe the Americans with their like laws and stuff, they can maybe do something, but I doubt we can do anything. And I think it's just because all these like huge network companies with like old like powerful people are just butthurt that like when they go on YouTube, they're at the bottom. They start with 0 subscribers. They start without the algorithm boosting them. They have to start with 5, 10, 100 views, and they're on the same playing field just as everyone else, despite of their power and resources. They can't do anything.
They can't swallow it. Yeah,
exactly. And that's exactly why things like Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, anything that like decentralizes anything is like, whoa, it's scary. And people don't realize how powerful, like how lucky we are to just be able to have a voice. Like back 20 years ago, we can't be radio hosts. Like, it's impossible. There's so many doors and gates with the pitch ideas, with the talk to so many go through so many doors and talk to so many people, pay so many people off to just get our voice heard by people. But in today's day, we can just film a podcast, post it online, and instantly people can start listening to us for free.
Yeah.
Decentralization, insane.
That's the thing. I think the power of our voices in today's society, I think even with everything that's going on in the world, especially in America, you're seeing, it was kind of an uprising, but it was more an increased awareness. Like, awareness can be spread so quickly through current forms of social media, etc. We have a voice, and it's very important that we use our voice, especially because, with the government trying to do what they're trying to do at the moment, like, it's crazy, man. It's mental. I don't know.
Because, like, it's insane how, 20 years ago, we would have to pay, $10,000 to get a website built. Now we can do it with $30. Like, the cost of everything is just dropping, and, dude, we just, things are just getting better and better over time. And this is, leading to another topic, is, humans, things are getting cheaper. We're having to, we're able to save more money, and we can have more luxury. And as a result, we have more time. And time is actually, when pondering time, is actually very dangerous. Because I was listening to this podcast, this guy named David Cho. He lived with the African tribes in the Congo.
Okay.
And what they would do is they would wake up at sunrise, go hunt for food, literally spend all days trailing food, trailing animals, trying to catch prey, come home before sunset. All the women would praise them. They'll have a celebration that the men have brought home food. The women would collect berries. They have a whole fire dance, and they'll eat, and then the sun will set, and then they'll go to sleep because they're tired and exhausted, and then they'll wake up the next day and repeat. That was their whole routine. They literally had no time to ponder. So as humans, we have never been used to spare time. Spare time never used to exist, and during spare time, that's when your mind gets very evil and dangerous, and that's when crazy things happen. And we're just having more and more spare time as technology becomes more and more efficient, and how economy scales and how economy, free markets, all this and stuff.
That's a scary time to even think about, isn't it? But I think that's a very good topic for the next podcast next week. I think we haven't even realized how fast time has gone. I think we definitely...
I'm looking at the time. It's 52 minutes. I'm like, what the We just scratched the surface, and I think that's exactly why we're the perfect duo, Krishna. 52 minutes in, and this is solid. It was just fun. We just kicked it.
I can keep going. You know what I mean?
I know.
I can keep going. It's one of those things.
But we will pause it here. We'll save it here, and I'm excited for the next week. And we have a ton of things on the Trello board, and we haven't even picked off any of them. So we're good. We're Gucci.
Well, I'm just way too excited right now. I'm way too excited. It's going to be good. I can't wait for next week as well.
Yeah. So thank you so much, everyone, for listening. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. This is definitely something that was a first for me. Let me know your thoughts. Drop in the comments below. Message me on Instagram. Hit up Krishn. Krishn, what are your details?
Yeah. So my Instagram do I remember it at the top of my head? It's at my first name, so Krishn, and it's it's triple N, so KRISHNNNP. Definitely DM us, let us know if you have any topics that you guys want us to talk about. Definitely let us know. If you have any, we definitely appreciate all your feedback because it is our first time doing this. Please give us any feedback that you have. It's been a pleasure, Andy. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Krishn. That's it. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate everyone's time. Peace.
Thank you.